Hi everyone, I'm Fiona and I make videos all about makeup and beauty for pale skin. If that's something you're interested in, then please do subscribe to this channel. If you notice that I'm slightly mismatched here, I'm not sure how much it'll show up on camera. It's because I'm trying out another product. Today is just my filming day and I'm getting everything tested. This video is comparing the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour and the e.l.f. Bronzer and Contour, okay? So why have they created these two different sort of contouring products that are similarly priced and looked quite similar in the tubes as well? So I believe that this one was released first and part of the Halo Glow line because of the popularity of their Halo Glow sort of flawless filter dupe. I really like this product. I got it when I ran out of the putty bronzer in the shade Feelin' Shady. That's the one that I used in my pale contouring video and I still really rate that product. It's unusual for me to use up an entire contour, so that's an excellent one for beginners. But I also really rate this one. I've done some swatches on my arm. So this one here is the product I've just shown you, which is the Halo Glow Contour. I have this in Fair Light, which is the lightest shade. And you can see it's pretty true to what's in the bottle there. Then the newer, slightly shinier looking one is the Camo Liquid Bronzer and Contour. So the packaging is quite similar to the Camo Concealer, and that's the second shade there. I've accidentally knocked it, oh well. So looking at these two in the swatches, you can see that this shade here, the Halo Glow Contour, is not as pigmented. And when it comes to contouring, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So this might be a little bit more user-friendly for beginners, whereas this one is quite opaque, but that doesn't mean that it won't sheer out. So it's going to be interesting to compare them side by side. This also, to me, is looking slightly greener actually. I'm not sure if it's picking up in the camera there, but that one looks a little bit more green in real life. So I think the colors will be very similar, but the performance and the lasting power could be very, very different. As I say, the Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour is a bit softer and probably a little bit easier to blend. The applicators of the two products are also entirely different. So if I just open this one up to show you, it has this kind of classic sponge that you might remember from like the Maybelline concealers, that sort of a thing. They're not the most hygienic, although this one you can at least close by just turning it downwards, but it's a bit messy. And product does come out from all sides of this dome, not just the top. So that's something to bear in mind. However, some people I know really like the sponge because you can almost start blending it in a little bit with the sponge. I also like that it's a squeezy tube because that means you can get pretty much all of it out at the end. It's also convenient for travel because it's not glass and it won't smash. So this one's really good for packaging. Then if I have a look at the e.l.f. Bronzer and Contour, this is glass packaging, as I said, similar to their concealers. This is also in the shade Fair, and I'll just open it up here so you can see that it's just your standard doe foot applicator. And quite a lot does come out on the brush, but there is a stopper on the inside to make sure that not too much product is coming out. It's not going to splash everywhere, so pretty decent packaging on this one as well. Coming down to preferences really. Now, I thought this was so interesting. When I looked at both of the products, the more expensive of the two products is the Halo Glow Contour Wand. This is £9, okay, which is kind of standard for an e.l.f. product. However, you get 10 ml of this product, so a fair amount. I was totally shocked that this one is £7, so a very similar price, but you only get 4 ml of product. That is less than half, okay? And if you look at this glass at the bottom, can you see how thick that glass is? So this is a total false economy in my mind. It's their cheaper contour product, but you're getting less than half the product with only £2 of a difference. So really, cost shouldn't even come into it. It should be which one do you prefer, which one performs better for you, because you're not getting a whole lot of this and you're only saving £2. Let's try them on the face and we'll see what they're going to look like. I'm going to put both of them onto my hand first, and then I am going to apply them first with this small dense brush from Real Techniques, And then I will blend them out with a Real Techniques, I believe this is a setting brush. And then I will buff that into the skin. This is exactly how I applied my contour in my pale skin contouring video, and I still use exactly the same method. Both brushes have been washed and dried before this test to make sure it's completely fair and there's no other product on the brush. I will also clean them in between swatches. So I think I'm going to start with the newer one, which is the bronzer and contour in the shade Fair. Let's give this a go. Again, I'm just going to open it up. There's our doe foot applicator, a little bit runny on the end, but it never actually lands, so it doesn't ruin my clothes. And I'm going to just put that onto the back of my hand. There it is. It's not runny or sticky at all. And I am going to take up some of that product lightly with this dense brush. And again, I'm just kind of making sure I coat the top of the brush fairly evenly. And then I'm just spreading it out so I get some of the product removed. I'm going to do that on this side. And I'm just going to put that in the natural hollow of my cheek, although it's not really showing itself today. Maybe I need to drink more water. So just going to draw a line under my cheekbone. And I'm also going to put some up here because I do like to narrow my face and get rid of this 5-head business up here. Again, I'm only going to take it about halfway because I'm going to be using the Halo Glow contour on the other side. I'm applying the most product close to the hairline so that that is the deepest and darkest shadow, as is what looks the most natural. Then I'm going to take this clean setting powder brush and I'm going to buff that in. Pretty easy to blend in so far. My baby hairs are getting in the way. Just gonna get my hair out of the way here. Sweeping down, buffing in. I'm just gonna turn and face the front now so you can actually see what that looks like. That's a pretty intense contour. I've probably used a little bit too much product, but then if I go to try and soften it and remove it, even just with a finger, it does soften out. So although it might be a little bit easy to overdo this, it's quite easy to get back in control, if that makes sense. I'm just going to very quickly clean the brushes so that there's no confusion between the two products. Hey, so I'm back with some clean brushes and a clean hand, and we're going to have a go at this side of my face with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour Beauty Wand. So for this one, I'm going to try and test it the same way. I might do like part of my face applying it here, and then the rest I'll do on my hand, just so you can see how it applies both ways. I think that's the most fair. So I'm going to just put a little along here with the applicator itself, and then this part of my head, I'll put that product on my hand and then buff it in and apply it with the brush like I did with the other product. So let's just go for it. It's looking pretty similar, not a huge difference. Then just rolling the product out onto my hand. It does come out pretty easily actually. Oh, that's quite a lot. We'll see how much I need. It can be a little bit difficult when you're squeezing this just to see how much is going to come out. It kind of goes and you end up with a lot of product. But let's just do the same thing we did before. So again, I'm sort of pushing it into the brush and then dispersing it across my hand and from the brush as well. It's looking very, very similar. Again, maybe a little bit lighter, but very, very little difference. I'm basically pushing that onto my head as well, same as I did the other one. I really hope these don't look too different because I am working and I don't think I'm going to have time to change my makeup in between. That already looks a bit sheerer just as I'm pushing it on, but we'll see. So I'm then going to take this brush and buff in both parts. So starting up here and just softly buffing that in. I find it really odd that the other one is called a contour and bronzer, because to me a bronzer is warm, whereas a contour shade is meant to mimic shadow, so it's supposed to be cool toned. Right, so I'm not seeing a dramatic difference in my forehead. This one maybe looks a little bit cooler, which is what I thought it would given what was on my hand. But let's do this bit here too. So that has started to set a little bit faster, but it's still blendable. Or maybe I've just left a little bit longer, I'm not sure. So let's have a little look-see. So again, this is the contour and bronzer side. I'll just hold up the product so you know which one I mean. And then this one is the Halo Glow contour stick side. I'm not seeing a dramatic difference between the two of them. I also feel like maybe I need to do the same thing that I did on this side, where I feel like I might have applied a tiny bit too much. But again, very similarly to the other one, seems to be quite easy to just remove with fingers. Definitely not a product that is difficult to use, and probably quite suitable for beginners as well, both of them. There is more shadow on this side, so let me just move my camera a tiny bit. So I'm literally facing dead on now into the light. I only film in natural light. I think this side looks a little bit more snatched. But possibly I just needed to buff it in a little bit more, but I'm not against it. This side, now that it's sat for a while, is looking a little warmer to me as well. What do you guys think? So just, I guess, in summary, I think both of these products are excellent. It wouldn't really matter which one of these you get. I think they both work beautifully. They both have a very similar finish. Neither of them are matte. It's going to come down to price, amount of product, because this one is the winner, and your application method. If you want a really strong contour, you could probably apply this like straight from the doe foot. Whereas if you want something a bit more natural and a slightly sheerer, this one might be a better bet. But I think both of them are excellent products, and I will be using up both of them. This one might just take a little bit longer, although with only 4 ml, you just never know. Let me know which side you prefer. Halo Glow Contour or Contour and Bronzer. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.